Hi, y'all. It's Alex, the Best Places social media manager. You're about to watch me interview Joanne, a Best Places user. In the interview, we discuss her experience living as a full-time RVer. Enjoy. Would you give us your name and talk a little bit about where you're living?
My name is Joanne. You don't want the full name, do you?
It's up to you, whatever you're
Okay.
comfortable sharing.
All right. My name. Okay. My name is Joanne. For the past 3 years, yes, 3 years since November 2018, my home has been a motorhome, which is 32 foot long. And my husband and I are originally from Seattle, and we sold our house in 2018 and just took off. And we've been traveling. COVID has been a little bit threw us a little bit of a curve, but we've been able to still travel, if not a little limited. So, and at the same time, discovered a whole new way of life that we had no idea, even with the research we've done, what it would be like. So, but 3 years later, we're still going.
Excellent. What made you want to make the switch to motorhome living in the first place?
Well, we were of retirement age. My husband retired a few years before me and sort of waited doing this, that, and the other until I did. And so when it was my time, we had choices. We knew that we didn't want to stay in the house where we were because it was getting a little too much work, maintenance, that kind of thing. And so there were some options. You go somewhere smaller. That was not an option. So basically, it's not the smartest option from a financial point of view, but it is something that we wanted to do. The American dream, as it's called, it takes many form now. A lot of people decide to do all kinds of unusual things to see their country. In our case, we are Canadian American, so our family is in Toronto and Montreal, so in the Northeast. And we also wanted to spend winter somewhere where it's sunny, unlike Seattle, and warm. So all of that, and then of course we wanted to meet people. We wanted to meet locals and be there long enough to do that. In fact, COVID was an interesting thing that happened because had we wanted to travel around the world, which we did do before, we wouldn't have been able to. So yes, we were slowed down a little bit, but it didn't stop us from traveling from, at least we stayed in one state during the COVID worst of the period, if you like, pushed to Oregon last summer, but, sort of stayed close to our base, which had been Palm Spring at the time. But now here we are in a place near Baltimore, Maryland. So we're completely on the other end of the country right now. So near, I think you are from Portland, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Are you calling me? Yeah. So I'm close to the other port in Maine, which is just as nice, by the way.
Okay. Great. So you said you've been doing this since 2018. Where all have you been? Like, have you been to most states, would you say?
No, there is, well, not quite. A lot of people do this lifestyle with that goal in mind, in that it's to visit all 48 states, obviously Hawaii and Alaska is something that a lot of people do still, because Alaska is the last far west, so it attracts a lot of RVers to go there. But mostly it's the continental United States. So that's their goal. Our goal was not so much that; it was more to go where. Not plan so much, because you spend most of your working life planning, although you do need to plan for it to a certain extent. But it was just to discover places where we wouldn't have ever been before. So an example, we were in Tupelo, Mississippi in 2019, and we loved it. We just love this place, that place. Who knew? I mean, this was July as well, so it was really hot and humid, but we still liked it. So there are places like that that sort of pop up that we've never would have known before. I think the only states that we have yet to do, whether or not we'll get to it, I don't know, is the sort of the middle west, the Midwest of the West. So Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, those states we haven't done yet. But and in the summer and fall, we're about to do the Carolinas and Georgia, which we haven't done yet, but those will be done. So I would think that probably 38 to 40 states so far we've done.
Nice, impressive. What are some of your favorite spots that you've ever been, do you think?
Well, the Oregon coast is always nice. We knew it from before because we lived in Seattle, but to do it slowly, because when you are full-time, when you live full-time in a motorhome, or full-time RVers as it's called, or nomad, or digital nomad is another expression, because a lot of people work out of their motorhome now. And it's also been very popular with millennials because of that. They can take their family and just go. But anyway, because we are full-timers, we take our time. We don't need to be doing everything in 2 weeks. Although the feeling and the habit is hard to let go, because when we first started, we would go somewhere and say, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and not realizing that, we have lots of time. That's number one. Number two, we're not on vacation. Our budget is not, when you go on vacation, you got a slightly inflated budget than if you would live normally at home. So you can go somewhere and, start going to all the Disneylands in the world. You just can't. You have to be a little smarter. And if you want to go to a museum, you check the free evenings. There's always free evenings or that kind of thing. So you need to do a little bit of research. So the Oregon coast was really nice. Anywhere in California we like. I can't say, honestly, we love Texas. We started in Texas, and early in our trip, we headed to Big Bend National Park, which is and by the way, a lot of RVers, we were talking about their goal being to visit each state. A lot of other full-time RVers, their goal is to see all the national parks, and there are a lot of them. And so Big Bend National Park is one in southwest Texas. It's one of the least visited because it's difficult to get there. It's not like you're on the highway and it's right there. So we headed there quite early in our adventure and loved it. And Texas in general, I always like to say, in fact, I have a blog that says 9.5 weeks in Texas, because that's what we did. We went up and down, not necessarily in a straight line. It was more like this way. So that Texas has the attraction is definitely the people. The you all is very genuine, mostly. The way of living for us Northerners was so different. Louisiana is the same thing. I have French Canadian roots. I was born in Montreal. So to go through the Cajun country in Louisiana was particularly of interest to me. There's a lot of history. And in fact, the whole country has so much history. It really does. I mean, we're about 30 miles from Gettysburg here. So you can imagine every single little town around Gettysburg that we're going through has got some sort of a Civil War museum, graveyard, cemetery, whatever. And rather than doing it on the interstate, if you're going on vacation, you usually go from point A to point B, sometime a point C, but it's usually condensed because, you have 1 week or two. In our lifestyle, we can stop, change our mind, go back, that kind of thing. So And because of that, we need to be very flexible as well, because we're not the only one, particularly this summer, where a lot of people discovered that it's very safe from a virus pandemic point of view to be in a trailer or in a tent or whatever it is that has camping attached to it. And so it's not as easy to just show up and get in. You need reservation. There's something else called boondocking. So boondocking is a dry camping. So it's especially popular where there's Bureau of Land Management, and the Bureau of Land Management lands tend to be more to the west than to the east. There's not much room in the east. There's people everywhere. But if you go to Texas and New Mexico and California and all of those are Utah and so on, the BLMs are out there, and you can go. And if you're willing to do a little dry camping, meaning you don't have any services, you can stay for free, next to free. It's very, very cheap. Have you seen Nomadland?
No, I don't think so.
You'll need to see Nomadland. It's a category of people. There's lots of people who are doing this lifestyle. Some are doing it because economically they can't afford anything else, and we've seen that. And Nomadland is a little bit about that. But it starts in a place called Quartzsite in Arizona, where every January, and this is not an exaggeration, very close to 1 million people find themselves in the desert camping dry land. And normally you go to Quartzsite any other time as empty. In fact, if you blink, it's gone. It's that small place. But Quartzsite in January, because there's a big, it's just, first of all, it's tradition. And secondly, there's a big RV show there, is a little bit of a rite of passage for a lot of our RVers. You can almost say, okay, so this is me, this is my lifestyle. It's a little bit like going, I don't know, a Muslim needs to go to La Mecca, or it's you got to do it. You got to do it. So we've done that as well. We are not particularly fond of boondocking for long periods of time because I like having my light, and we have batteries. Of course, you can have lights even if you're not plugged in, but it's not forever. People who are really gung-ho about not going to campgrounds, they have equipped themselves with lithium batteries and solar panels and just about everything. And they can go for long periods of time, provided they have somewhere to empty their sewers from their tank from time to time. And it is a kind of full-time way of doing it. For us, it's not so much to be lost in the middle of nowhere. For us, it was to be close enough to cities and towns to be able to take a look at museums and people living and farmers market. We must have done, I don't know, hundreds of farmers market so far. We always make a point of looking up where they are. And that's great because really a lot of the time that's where the locals are. We can sort of take a look how they live and chit chat, do whatever. So sorry, I'm going a little bit all over the place.
No, it's great. It's great. So you've talked a lot about what you love about this life. Are there things that you could live without or would change if you could?
We don't have enough time. It's, a lot of people whenever we say that we're doing this lifestyle to, people in stores or people you encounter here and there, at the dentist, anywhere, who is not doing this lifestyle, they always say, oh, my dream life. I'd love to do that. And yes, on the one hand, it can be a dream life, but you still have bills to pay. You still need to be fairly organized. But I think the most important thing that is sometimes very difficult to accept, although you need to, is the nature of our lifestyle is to be on the road. To be on the road with a trailer or motorhome is an earthquake on wheels. What happens when there's an earthquake? Things break badly, or at least break a little. And so you can't expect that your motorhome, in our case, or trailer, will be. It's not like a house. A house, and even a house, will break down from time to time. There's always something wrong. But this is 10 times or 20 times worse. So things will happen. So it's a little frustrating also, because the finished product. So if you happen to buy a new recreational vehicle, an RV, doesn't guarantee you any more peace of mind on the breakage point. It's just awful. And there is not one company over another, one manufacturer over another who is better than the other. And particularly in the last year or so, they have received so many orders that they can't keep up. And so what happened is the shoddy products go out even more so than before. So it's, right now in camping, there's something called glamping. Have you heard of the term?
Yeah.
Maybe you may even have taken part, which, is you go and it's like a hotel room, basically. Our lifestyle is not a hotel room. That's probably as short as I can put it. You really need to work at being happy within that lifestyle, which I guess is the same for any lifestyle. So one may sound like a dream, but you just need to work at it the same way. In fact, we have a saying with my husband. We say it's part of the adventure. So if something happens that's not really good, we look at each other and we say, it's part of the adventure. The beauty of this is if you get somewhere that really is ugly and you don't like, or if you have noisy neighbors or whatever, you're not there forever. You can go. So the ugly part of what I don't like as on the side of our lifestyle is that it's all the.
Please drive to highlighted.
Sorry. My husband my husband's downloading or updating our GPS and the computer. So that's what he's doing right now. Sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Okay, great.
He interrupted me, so I've lost my train of thought.
Okay, great. Well, with all of this, considered the good and the bad and the ugly, would you recommend that somebody else take this lifestyle? Do you think it's something you'd recommend?
Yes, but. So the but is you really need to do your homework. This lifestyle is not for everybody. You do not have a home. Just the going through getting rid of 20 years of accumulated stuff is difficult. It's cathartic. It makes you feel good in a way, but and we have a few things in storage right now, and inevitably we say, do you remember we have that? And then, you're looking feverishly in the drawer for this thing that we have, except it's in storage. So, you didn't take it with you. So I guess for people who are looking into doing that, first of all, it is not economically better than, it's not cheap. I mean, I think there's a myth that camping is cheap. It ain't. If you're going to stay at a campground every day, the average right now, depending where you are, would probably be about $40 to $45 a night. Times 31, it's expensive. So you need to be smart. And most full-time RVers need to be. So for instance, some of them work. It's called work camping in campgrounds. I did it. I was director of activities during the winter at COVID. I was very lucky. I had nothing to do, and they didn't fire me, so they kept me on. But that usually comes with free rent. So that's a way to, and we were in Palm Spring, which is a really nice, it's near Joshua Tree National Park, and it was really great. So a lot of people do that, particularly people who are not retired yet. So they need to, get some sort of income to pay for their bills, and healthcare and so on. So you have a lot of people who do that. Other people park themselves for 6 months in the year. They don't move. So they'll stay in Arizona, say, for 6 months. They might move a little bit inside Arizona, but they basically want to be, or Florida, but they basically want to be warm. And then the other 6 months, they travel. A lot of people see their family. So if they have 4 or 5 kids, sometimes they're everywhere in the country. That's what they do. So it really depends on your goals in terms of what you want to achieve, and be prepared to change those goals as you get going. I said that they need to do a lot of research, and I will maintain that. But no amount of research can prepare you for actually doing it. And I guess it's the same for anything. So you have to give it, at least 6 to 9 months to see if this is for you. You will likely not be in the right RV. You'll need to change because you won't like what it is. It was our case. We bought a Sprinter, a much smaller vehicle. It was an Airstream camper van, if you like. And it was a little foolish of us we wanted to be mobile. We wanted to be, going everywhere. And it's a little foolish to think that you can live in a camper van for declare that your house. It just wasn't possible. We needed a little bit more, services around us and so on. So we bought a motorhome 3 months after we got going. So, and you talk to people and that you meet, and I thought we were so silly because we had made the right choice of recreational vehicle, but it's almost the norm. So flexibility, wanting to really live an adventure. And I would also say, you can't be too close to your families and friends because you're going to miss them. They're not going to be around you. And of course, there's this, but it's not the same. You can't have it both ways. So if it's difficult for someone to be away from family, that's not going to be for them. They're going to be homesick. Having said that, we're planning next 2 weeks from now to go to Canada. I haven't seen my mother in 2 years because of COVID. And I haven't seen a granddaughter yet, who is now almost 2 years old. I haven't seen her. I haven't met her in person. So now that the border with Canada is opening next week, we're going to make our way up there, but not with the RV because I think it's a little too complicated. One trouble at a time, one, difficult hoop to jump into at a time. But that's the other thing is you can put your house in storage fairly easily and go on vacation. So here we are doing the same thing. And I have quite a few people I've met that are going on cruises because, life doesn't stop. You still want to go and make that trip. Or the other thing that I find interesting was, and I did that recently, I have an eye condition that I need to be followed. And that's another difficulty because your doctor doesn't follow you. So you need to be, if you have a chronic, it could be diabetes. It could be something very common. You cannot go see your doctor. So you need to be able to do that on the road. When you're retired and over 65, it's easy to do because Medicare allows you to go anywhere. But if you're 45 or 50, it's usually by state. So anyway, it's a bigger problem. But recently I looked up under my condition what were the best doctors in the US, And one in Baltimore came up. So here I am. I got that appointment last week with him. So because, we can direct our motorhome, which we call Mr. Bond, by the way, because the last 3 numbers on our license plate is 007. So it's Mr. Bond. And our Jeep, we have a Jeep that we tow. And so that the Jeep does most of the exploring for us. So people need to be thinking and do a lot of research. On the other hand, I'm going to say something you probably will have to zip it. There's an expression like "shit or get off the pot." You cannot research forever. At one point, you will not have all the answers. In fact, one of the tools that I should have used a little bit more is social media. So Facebook has got, any group possible known to mankind. So if people are looking to buy a particular motorhome, for instance, a particular style, there's a Facebook group for that particular motorhome. So if they're not sure what it's like, the best way to know is to look on Facebook, see what groups there are out there, ask to get in. You'll always be accepted, and just notice the forums and the what people are talking about. That is something we didn't do enough, because we probably wouldn't have bought this smaller vehicle, for instance.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I feel like we've covered everything really well, unless there's any final thoughts you want to share before we sign off.
No, I don't think so. As I said, it's more someone I was reading recently. Just bear with me for a minute, because I thought it was well put. It says, the American dream no longer means a house with a white picket fence. It means freedom. It means travel. It means adventure. It means love. It means happiness. Whatever it means to you. It could be under the form of full-time RVing. It could be, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay where I am. That's okay too.
All right. Absolutely. Well, that's very lovely. Thank you so much for talking with me today. Hope you enjoyed that interview. Don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell so you know when we upload new videos. You can also follow us on social to keep up with the team and what we're doing. All of that will be plugged in the description. If you're living the nomadic lifestyle or wish you could, leave a comment telling us how you feel about it. And don't forget to check out Joanne's blog, also linked in the description. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.